That's it. We are live, my friend. You want to talk again? All right. Looking good,
Okay.
Magellan.
Whoa. Weird. Okay. So,
What is it?
what?
I love how focused you are.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
So, what we got going on today is we're going to be talking about some Avengers Endgame kind of. Wanted to do a kind of a movie talk back about
We're gonna
back with
spoil the hell out of Endgame.
we're
It's
spoiling
just
the
gonna.
fuck out of it. So
This
don't
is
even
the
go back
main
and
warning.
this is the primary warning, other than the warning already in the title. But one of the reasons I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to my brother about this is because he is like actually gone to school for filming stuff. Like
No,
he's
no, no, no! Don't tell anyone that. No, no, no! No one needs to know anything. No,
listen here.
no.
You're trying
I'm
to
a.
justify your presence on this show.
What?
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about Endgame. It's the sort of the end of an era, the little space in my brain that holds, possibilities for these characters and stuff is very like wrapped up, very different now. But
Oh my
yeah,
god, right? It's
um,
so strange to think that
do we
the
want to start
ultimate.
off?
We'll
Do
start
we
off.
want to start off with like a not spoilery sort of thing, or
I don't know how though with this particular one. So like, not spoilery would be an Endgame. He's
just
the one.
just loose? Let's just do
In loose.
loose recommends slash enjoyed versus not recommend didn't
Oh,
enjoy.
okay. All right. So
Just do that right off the bat.
we'll start with you.
So go. Okay. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's good. It's a good movie. You got to see it, especially if you like any of the other ones. You just got to check it out. Sort of why it's made all of the money at the box office is because it's what it
All
is.
of the freaking money.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
mine is
non-spoiler for me.
non-spoiler is hard recommend. One of the few movies ever to actually draw like an actual tear out of me. So that's I made it through Up with nothing. To give you a base.
Say Up didn't make me cry. Inside Out though, that made me sob like a small child.
Through Inside Out, no problem.
Yeah.
All
All right. Well,
just.
just.
Like, you're gonna make it. Yeah.
Mine was when that like pillar of her personality like crumbled and fell away. Doesn't matter. We're not talking about Inside Out. We're talking about Endgame. We're jumping into spoilers. Last point. Jump off. Okay, here we go. Fucking. All right.
Yeah.
So
So do we want to kind of do
5 years? Do we want to talk about the time jump?
Yeah.
It's just. I feel like that's the first most interesting thing to sort of land on.
Like, it's really funny because the movie starts off like, okay, Thanos is dead. Like, just first 10 minutes, they go, they murder the fuck out of Thanos, and then 5-year jump. And
Yeah.
It was like, it's one of like, at first I was like, you can't do this to us. Like, but then I realized, we have time jumps in a lot of the movies between time anyway. It's just.
Well, they had to do it, right?
Yeah, there was no way
it was.
to wait without it.
Yeah, there was there's no way Infinity War could matter if we immediately picked back up. But it's going to create a lot of weird things, right?
They said that on the next Spider-Man movie is actually going to be an epilogue to Endgame. So it's going to go through a lot of the what happened in
Okay,
those 5 years, the more logistical side of
makes
shit that couldn't
sense.
fit into the movie because it's a 3 hour
Yeah.
movie and like it's like three movies in one movie, like three almost complete storylines in one movie. So it was a lot of information
Hmm.
while also trying to maintain the desperate tone of if they can't pull it off.
Yeah.
Which tone was huge in this movie. I was actually really surprised by that. Like they sacrificed a bit of pacing for tone.
The pacing wasn't for tone though. The pacing was for just pure fan service, like 100%. Like don't get me wrong, they were fun moments. There was a lot of good things in there, but almost every single one of them was too long for my taste. Like it was just the movie was 3 hours long and a celebration of everything that comes before it, and on that level it totally works. But like as a movie, the pacing really is like terribly awkward at
Yeah,
points. Like the biggest one I've been going to is the elevator with Cap. Right, they're recreating the scene
it's
from
so good.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
Great setup, great joke. My God, is it about twice as long as it needs to be? Which wouldn't be a problem except for every single one of these like winking referential jokes that like the middle part of the movie is made out of.
yeah.
They're all too long. Every one of them. Like the Thor has like three different scenes where he just resolves to do better. He's like, I can't see my mom. I can't see my mom. I can't see my mom. Oh, hi,
uh,
mom. Oh, hi, son. You gonna do better? I'm gonna
I'm
do
gonna be
better.
better. Well,
Like that takes like 9 minutes of screen time. And like Rocket's just like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Like
well, but like it's really
uh,
hard to do that any faster. I feel like and actually make it mean
you cut
something.
the
Like
first scene.
which
Cut
for
the first scene when him and Rocket get there and they're like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and he goes, I can't do this. That scene could be a half as long. Or you just have Thor immediately get caught by his mom or something. Like there's the remember the mom walking by at that moment, they made that happen. They could
yeah,
have had it happen differently. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Like they were consistently too long,
yeah.
which like obviously that's where the celebration and the
Well,
like
yeah. I
references
mean,
come in and make it like that's where that the excitement thing is. But it really just I think it hurts the rewatch value
okay, so I disagree.
of
I,
of and going game. I keep
Endgame.
wanting to
I
say Infinity War.
I disagree, and the only reason is because if they were much shorter, then getting the Infinity Stones wouldn't have felt that hard to do. It would have felt way too easy if any of them would have gone much faster than they already went. Like, they all went
Are you telling me
relatively quickly.
you needed the full scene of Tony like walking into the hallway and then like sitting there in the CIA and then cracking open the safe and then pulling the thing out and
Well,
then his dad shows up. And
yeah,
like
but
I
with
get the order of operations and everything, but like I'm just talking about the editing, what you show, what you don't show. A lot of that could have been inferred. Like we know Tony's
yeah,
going to
but
the thing. We
with
know he's going to break into the place. It's just the way that it was played out
yeah, but
was too long.
it's a heist movie. You can't have a heist movie
You
those step by step scenes because
of
they
course just make him go faster. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't show so much of the elevator ride. Don't show so much of him walking in. Don't show like that's what I mean by like the pacing of these moments is just off for me when it could be like there's nothing added by having them take as long as they do. And I think that the reason they take as long as they do is because they're kind of really light on the actual plot elements of the time heist. Like the
well,
time heist ends up instead of being like a plot being like a highlight reel of the universe moments that they then um
full
hang
plot out of.
the moments on.
Yeah.
Right, so the plot itself there is so thin that they fill it with fan service essentially.
Well, but I
And like i
feel
think i think they could have just had more plot, less fan service, and that would have made the pacing feel a little better and made the rewatch a little more fun.
the only reason
Not that it didn't work, just
the only
arguing
reason
optimal.
yeah, but the only reason I majorly I feel like I disagree on this one particularly is because like there was
Alright, check
no
out our comment section.
the amount of tension. I had a mic issue where I was super low for beginning out, but it's
Oh, okay.
fixed. I actually had it on the stupid microphone over here, which is why I was like, so for that first bit. But the reason I disagree is because there's still like if I felt like if they went much faster, there'd be no way to maintain the tension of getting them. It would just feel like literally like, well, we need to go do this. Well, we did that. Like, And I know what you're saying, taking the little bits off of each one, and like, but I just feel like they weren't. I felt like there was nothing wrong with that.
The plot, less fan service. That's the main takeaway. The reason that they feel poorly paced or slow in that section is because
But it didn't.
there's not a lot new happening. You know what I mean? It's like the ratio of like old reference stuff to new things that are happening is like 3-1. And like just that whole the elevator scene again is the great example. It's like a minute of setup for a fucking 5-second joke. A good joke.
But
I laughed. I laughed a lot. But like very little new happened in that scene. And a lot of the scenes, I felt like very little new happened. I did like a lot of the moments. Like I love the Tony with his dad moment. Like that's like the biggest one I can think of. I think.
Man, that was a really well crafted scene. I thought like a lot of the like the thing about it is like
Oh, the
I felt like a part of the reason they did it was also to give the characters at least approximately equal time with them because without like because like Thor he got to talk to his mama, but let's face it, it was just, hey, stop fucking up, okay? You don't have to be a fuck up. But like I feel like to get the even amount of time with the teams, like Cap goes by himself to go get the freaking cosmic or the which one the staff. No wait, which one did he end up getting? Yeah, the staff.
he got the stuff.
Yeah, and so
He just walks into the elevator.
yeah, and then the Hail Hydra I thought was actually a clever twist on what like with what was going to happen, but I felt like I didn't feel like I was wasting any time with these scenes. Like I felt like the very beginning is actually where it took too long for me, where they were setting up. That's where they were like with Ant-Man's like a lot of Ant-Man stuff felt like it took really long. A lot of the
I think they
we're gonna
added
go
it
talk
after
to
the fact.
yeah we're gonna go talk to Tony took forever. Like I felt like
Yeah, I think they added a scene where he goes and checks the names on the stuff and then goes visits his daughter. Because what I think happened is that they originally filmed, and this is just speculation, right?
yeah where he
Only
just
based
showed
on the
up.
fact that he doesn't have the van with him. Right, the
Makes
van is
sense.
such a major piece of the plot, especially like at the end.
The time
that, like,
travel van.
Yeah, the time travel van. And then like for those scenes he's carrying around he's got the wagon, and like they feel very, I don't mean to say they feel rushed, but like they feel very perfunctory. And it's
Which
this
is
is
just a
total
fancier
nitpick.
word
This
for
is
rushed. This is a very big
this
nitpick.
is a tiny nitpick. No, because it can feel unrushed. It can just feel like everything you think is going to
Yeah.
happen is going to happen,
That's true. Yeah.
and this is a tiny nitpick, but it so bothers me that the names aren't in alphabetical order on the freaking.
Oh
slip.
God, right?
But how did he ever find himself? How did he ever
Real
expect
quick.
to find anyone?
How could
It's so
anybody
weird.
expect to find anyone? No, real quick. Were you looking for like anybody with a hunt for last name? I was looking for last names
I
that I
didn't.
knew. I
I
was like,
tried to look for last names, and then when I noticed it wasn't in alphabetical order, I was like, what?
But, that's a good question, Molly. How do any of us find ourselves? Alphabetically,
Yeah.
apparently. I mean, that's a good place to start.
Good place to start, I thought.
Oh wow, I look way too much like that cat when I do that. That's not a flattering look.
Nah.
Actually, real quick, I wanted to go back a little bit. The very beginning of the movie, where we actually open on Hawkeye and his family disappearing. What did you think of that?
I mean, it was like a dramatic scene, but I felt like it was filmed comedically. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
Well, I've always had this, like, I don't like Hawkeye's family. Like, I'm gonna be real for a minute real quick before we get into everything else.
We need to preface this. Okay.
As a comic fan, Hawkeye, like, especially love Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye, and I was really hoping to see that put to film one day. And everything about Hawkeye's family, like, negates the possibility of that happening. So, like, I was already like,
you already
were
not on board.
I wasn't on board, but I do like the actress that plays his wife. I thought that like the idea of the scene in Ultron was good, despite the Ultron having just a ton of weird things about it. So like, and then so that scene showed up. We all know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him as Ronin in the trailers. Even
Which
if
I
you
wish they
the teaser.
hadn't. That's the only thing
they don't call him
in.
Ronin. They just use the costume,
I know,
which
but...
I'm fine with, because if you're gonna be a mass murdering vigilante, you might as well cover your face.
You might as well not have a name, because, oh good God.
Like, just turning him into the Punisher for a few years was I don't like it. Not a fan. Hawkeye is not a murderer. Never been a murderer, but the minute they changed him from Carney to CIA or FBI agent guy,
They
Shield
went with
guy, then
Ultimate
like
Hawkeye.
they fucked up the idea that Hawkeye wasn't a murderer,
Yeah.
and they make his use of the bow extra awkward.
Yeah.
Also, as Molly pointed out, that weird fucking haircut. Like,
Yeah.
dude, what are you doing? You're
Hey,
50.
he's just dressing
You're
the
a
way he
vigilante.
feels, okay?
Emo.
Yeah. I will say, like, I
But
liked
the scene cracked me up. He doesn't see anyone, which he should have absolutely, based off of what we've seen of people disappearing. They don't just like go, you know what I mean? They don't turn invisible. Like usually you see them crumble or fall.
Well, yeah,
and
but
like he
like,
doesn't. He's looking at someone in his family at any given moment. So like it just felt weird that they were just like gone, and he was like, "What's happening?"
it
When
was
it
a
could have
windy
been like
day.
easily. Well, the thing is, for the emotional impact of it, he could have easily seen his family, and nothing changes about Hawkeye's mission. Like him seeing what happens to them and him not seeing what happens to them doesn't affect the plot in any way. So just let him see what happens. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
well, I
Like,
think
what's the point?
Well, I think it was because they were trying to get like the feel of people who didn't see it happen, kind of a more of their just gone feel, rather than a horrific turning into dust. Holy shit! What the fuck is happening? One thing I will say, I did actually
Right,
enjoy
but
Jeremy.
Hawkeye will
Would
know
you let me
so
finish?
quickly.
Come on.
Sorry.
Invite
Just
you.
saying.
Goddamn. But yeah, no, like, well, Hawkeye, of course, we'll find out eventually. So I don't think that particularly mattered as much. I will say I did think Jeremy Renner turned up his acting for this one a lot. Like it felt like he turned up for this one, like a little bit more than he did in previous ones. I mean, I actually really enjoyed him this
As
movie.
little as I like him as Hawkeye, he's always turned in good performances,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Well, I feel
But
like this was like this
as
best
Hawkeye.
one as Hawkeye. Yeah,
Yeah, no, this was his best one as Hawkeye for sure. But
like
like he has one of the best moments in Ultron, again, a movie.
your audio cut out.
Uh I just he has the same thing in Ultron, right?
Hmm.
Like in Ultron, he turns in a great performance. He has like
Okay.
the best line in the movie,
Yeah.
even.
And it's really funny.
Um,
He kind of, like that. I think he really showed up to remind people that his Hurt Locker, everything was not just a one-time thing. I was really so I really enjoyed his performance, especially during the him and Natasha's mission, where that was like, oof.
so funny.
Why is that funny? I don't.
Why is it funny the goofy Looney Tunes one-upsmanship who's jumping off this cliff scene? How is that not hilarious? When
I
he
don't know.
busts out the explosion arrow and she like flies off to the side and they're like, "I'm jumping off. No, I'm jumping off. No, I'm jumping off." Like that was again another scene that I think I would have liked the emotion of it to have the space to play it out a little better. Like I get that them fighting over it a little, but like it shouldn't have gone past like her stinging him. Like he
Well,
should
I
have
feel like
watched as she did it.
I feel like
I don't
well,
know.
I feel like we already got that version of the scene with Thanos, and it would have been too
Well,
close. It
they
would have been.
filmed the whole scene like the same. Like even down to the framing of her at the bottom of the thing. Like
Yeah.
Red Letter Media, of course. They did a shot comparison of the angle from when we see Scarlet Widow down there, or sorry, not Scarlet Widow, Black Widow, and then the shot of Gamora, and it's like the same shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, why couldn't we have done this like a new way? Couldn't we have done something different for this scene
That's why
other
I
than
think they
like
tried to
having
do
it
it
play out the
different.
same?
Like,
I don't know.
like,
Them hanging off the cliff by like the thread of the thing was so I don't. It was just over the top for me in a movie that already has so many over the top moments and is already too long. Like you're adding more time to it and you're spending that time to do something that doesn't like matter as much.
well, like,
I
okay, it's part of. Okay, this is a character send off though. Like, you can't. This is a place where I feel like you have to spend the time. Like, we're losing one of the major characters we've had since Iron Man 2. Like, this is. It's not just like it's not just a. That's one of the reasons the pacing of this movie has a lot more freedom than I think a lot of other movies do, is because there are a lot of moments that you have to give time to, and with this one especially, with the with their going back and forth. It was a neat little callback to Avengers 1 when they had to fight when they were like under mind control and everything. Their
yeah.
relationship is perfectly represented, I felt like, in the before and after, and like where they're both like, yeah, we know who has gonna wait a minute, you son of a, and I felt like,
Yeah, I mean all of that I was there for it. Like seriously, it's
yeah.
just literally the both of them going off the edge and her tethering him there because he's like, "No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
bad," and
That
she's like,
last okay, you're so
"No,
you
I'm bad," and it's like it just it
Okay,
went on too long. Like there was too many and thens for me.
gotcha.
It felt like improv when they keep going past the joke.
Yeah,
That was what it was for. It wasn't not that it's a joke or anything, but that like the point was made. The point was made well. I was already sad. I was already like invested in it, and I just really needed to see who it was that ended up down there.
yeah,
It didn't matter that she tethered him to the thing or whatever, and like it's a weird. The whole thing is kind of bizarre. It's like a weird part of in a 3x structure. It's a
yeah,
weird thing to have a low point like that in the like where it lands in there,
yeah.
especially since the structure of this movie is just all over the place.
I will
um,
say, for having such a strange structure, it pulled it off better than a lot of movies with experimental structures that I can think
it's
of.
because if this was, it's not on its own.
Well, yeah, and
This movie is held up by everything that came before it, and it should be like
yeah,
it'd be disappointing if it weren't.
yeah. If it was
You
a
know, being
standalone movie, it would be real shitty because nothing could
it wouldn't be.
it would. Yeah,
It would be.
there's no way for it to be a standalone.
I mean, it couldn't be a standalone in any case because it'd have to at least follow Infinity War.
Yeah.
Now, the weird thing is that when we start thinking about Infinity War
So
and how
it's-
tight that structure was, and
Yeah.
how that
How-
story worked really well, and it's because there's only one story to really wrap up in Infinity War. Infinity War is about Thanos. They wrap up Thanos' storyline,
Yeah.
so much so that they didn't even think about what to do with him in this movie, so they kill him off in like the first 5 minutes.
Oh, I think
Which is like,
I thought that was great because it's one of those like they took away the easy solution of let's just fuck up Thanos and get this shit back. Like they took away the punch it till it's fixed, approach, which
Right.
has been a lot of people have had a major criticism. Like, oh, you just punch it till it's fixed, and like it's one of those. They're like, all right, we got you now, motherfucker. And he's like, don't have no stones. And they're like, the fuck do you say? He's like, I snapped him out, motherfucker. And like,
Yeah.
the insanity
Well,
of that, like, is so
I,
good.
I have no problem with him getting rid of the stones and or any of that. What the thing that I would have enjoyed more, and again, these are like I still want to emphasize I like this movie a lot. And
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Good. No.
I'm just like getting different time versions of people to fill in slots is awkward, and I'm not a fan of it because it's
alternate
trying to pretend
universe.
like these characters aren't dead, and they are, and like
Well, the only
like
major
we don't
one-
we don't have the Thanos that is emotionally invested or that any of these characters know. It's
Yeah.
just guy now,
Yeah.
and like it's not as engaging as if it were the Thanos.
I
that we
disagree.
know.
This is like when they killed Hitler in the Inglorious Bastards. Like, oh, spoiler alert for fucking Inglorious Bastards. But if you haven't seen that, fuck you. But it doesn't like, it's still Hitler before he was maximum Hitler. But it's a dude who, and then he.
I'm not talking about the facts of it. I'm talking about the emotion of it.
I know. I'm
The
saying.
emotions of the new Thanos versus the Thanos who's done all these things, who has invested, who has met these people,
Yeah.
is gone.
Yeah, but he was
And like,
what else did he there was literally nothing else for him to do. He did
Right.
his life's purpose. He made sure it couldn't be undone. What else was there to like? I feel like
right, that's
using
because
him
they wrote
anymore-
it that way.
No,
like,
no,
I'm
it's-
just saying, like, if he'd have been able to be involved in the finale somehow, that would have been more interesting when characters like Scarlet Witch stand up to him and be like, I mean, you
I
took
don't know
everything
who you
from
are.
me. I don't know who you are. Like, that's just not the same exchange as somebody who's like, yeah, I murdered everyone. What are you gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah, but then how
I'm
do
not
you-
saying the way that they structured the movie, the way that it's done. Obviously, like you'd have to change a shitload of stuff to make the actual Thanos work.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't mean I still wouldn't rather see that.
See, I disagree. I love the fact that Thanos, like Thanos Prime, we'll call him Thanos Prime, had a plan for literally fucking everything, and that's what made him so terrifying. Is he had a plan, he executed his plan, no one could fucking stop him, and in the end, he's like, "You're right, I am unstoppable." So there's that, and I'm already done. There's nothing you can do. Like him, literally being the ultimate bad guy, and just
Well, here's another like. It's fine. It's fine. I don't think it's great. I think it's fine. That's kind of how I feel about this movie. I think
Yes,
the
Hitler
movie is
died.
good. I don't think this movie is good. I think this movie is. How's it going, Mountain Man? But I think this movie is very good. I think that it's not great the way Infinity War was great.
I don't know.
I feel like there's a lot of catharsis with this movie.
I feel like they're
But
totally
there's a lot of
different.
weird stuff in it. Like the very first scene of the movie, like Tony starving on the ship, that was all just trailer bait. None of that mattered. It never came back around. There was never a moment between him and Nebula where they were like, "Remember that time we spent together?"
It
I
came
know
back around.
this isn't the Nebula that I
Flick.
know.
The
That never
flick.
comes back around
The flick.
ever.
That's
He's
where it came
just
back around.
it didn't. He doesn't recognize that it's
No,
not
no, no,
her.
no. You idiot. I'm talking about the Ant-Man flick. It was the joke.
Ant-Man flick. What are you talking about?
Okay, so like he's playing the game with Gamora where they're flicking the thing, and
Yeah.
then later in the movie when they're sealing the cosmic cube to get him onto other Tony, he's like, bam, and he nails the flick. He flicks Ant-Man.
I'm talking about
I'm saying that was
yeah,
the only thing that came back from it. I was making a joke.
debatably.
I was
debatably.
making a
I know.
joke.
I just it was weird that like none of that came back, and then like Captain Marvel was integrated into the movie so poorly that it was like what, like. Why would she go away? This is
Well-
the murder of half of everyone. Like,
No, she went
Pretty-
away
I-
because there was she like. I think it was an interesting idea to show that her responsibilities are so much more than just
Yeah.
Earth. Kind of like in
Green
Binary.
Lantern did. Yeah.
Well, no, but I was gonna say Binary in the comics was the same way, where she would. Come on, you stupid thing, focus. Where Binary was the same way in the comics, where she would like Carol Danvers has a storied record before. Let's see, I guess 2010, where she was just always gone and back again, trying to do
Yeah.
this or take care of that. So like I felt like
Rogue sidelined her for like 15 years or some shit.
well, yeah. And then when she got her powers back from the, I guess it was the Kree, which was an interesting way to do it. Where
All of that aside, she literally just shows up for scenes that don't affect the plot. Like she has no bearing on the plot whatsoever, and she's one of the most powerful people in the universe that we've been introduced to.
Oh,
and
man.
the filmmakers never take advantage of that. They never like really throw that away. She just shows up for stuff
She's
and
too
leaves
powerful.
before she can have any impact on it. Which
she's-
I would have liked to see more of her. I like Brie Larson. I like that character. It would have been interesting to see how she interacts with these characters before they're gone forever. But like, I get it. There's a ton of screen time you have to take up with other stuff. It
well,
was just, it's weird when everything else is so well integrated and I don't know. That's all. Yeah, it was just because everything else is so nicely done.
hold on one second. We got a bunch. We're all frozen.
No, I'm not frozen. I'm still on the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
I'm still live. It looks like.
Hold on.
Now it's loading.
Hold on. There we go. That was weird.
Are we back?
We're back.
Are we back? Okay,
back.
cool.
Sorry about that.
But anyway, it's fine. I mean, Carol was just awkwardly implemented, which is only noticeable because they're juggling so many other things so well.
I don't think we're gonna get any lack of her in the future, which so it's the one thing I didn't mind too much. Also, the Superman problem of what to do with somebody of that redonkulous power level, which I mean they didn't have to dial her all the way to 11 in her first movie. I felt like there could have been more for her to learn and find out, but like having her go that crazy fucking powerful that fast and getting her into Endgame, I felt was really ambitious, and they pulled it off. I felt as well as could be expected without having some like genius fucking mind burst of what to do with her that would be beyond me, especially like.
Well, and because her story starts in the 90s too, you can't have her not full power when she shows up.
Oh yeah, it was just
right? She's been doing this shit for 20 years or whatever,
hasn't
She
aged a day.
Hasn't aged a day.
Oh man, I really this is you want to talk about nitpicks? My nitpick is she's not the first fucking Avenger. Captain
What?
America's movie is the first Avenger. Like
Wait,
Captain
why would
America,
she be
the first Avenger.
Avenger?
Well, because like people are saying she's the first Avenger because he changed the name of the initiative to the Avengers Initiative because
Oh.
her nickname was Avenger on her fucking test pilot ship.
I don't care about that at all. That's weird. Yeah, but I mean, you can't call Captain America the first Avenger and then be like, but he wasn't.
Like
That's
his
just a.
movie is
It's just a.
called Captain America: The First
Yeah.
Avenger. Like it felt like a weird retconny thing that I was like,
So
mm-mm,
here's a
mm-mm.
question. All right, so
Sorry, go on.
I mean, all right. Aside my other minor gripes that we're just gonna get out of the way, they're
Yeah,
just little things. They don't matter. But we're gonna have Peter Dinklage play this space dwarf in the first movie and make it so clear that the Infinity Gauntlet was made out of a dying star, and then Tony's just like, I made it out of fucking metal and shit I found. Like, it's never explained. It doesn't matter. It wasn't.
Well,
It's good thing that it changes sizes and is what it is. It was what they needed for it. It's just a weird thing to make such a big deal of it in the first movie and have no plan for that in the second movie. Doesn't matter. No one cares how the fucking
well,
glove is made. It's just a goofy little detail.
oh man, I felt the one major thing that really pissed me off that they put in that they really should not have done because it affects the future of everything is having Paul Rudd turn into an old man or a baby. This means they have the ability, if they could perfect it, to just turn Cap back into Cap. They could just be like old Cap, young Cap. They could, fucking. There's so many shit that they could do with that, and like if it's actually based off the time that body's coming from, they could reverse death. They could. There's so many things that they could do with that one stupid overpowered thing that they used
They
for a
might.
sight gag, and like they might, yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, they
I
might.
just, it
It
really
opens the
annoyed.
door.
It really
You
annoyed me to use that as a sight gag. You know,
No, I mean it's a great sight gag, but it's also one we
somebody
kind of
peed in my
did, and
pants.
I mean, every time somebody says they peed in a movie, I fucking sigh because it's like this dumb joke that started like 10 years ago. They're like, "Hey, I peed a little," and it was like funny like 10 years ago, and now it just shows up all the time, and I'm done with it. Like that joke needs to die. I peed a little. I peed my pants. Whatever it is, I'm done with it. Put it away for 10 years so that when it happens again, we can be surprised and laugh. Because other than that, like I'm over it.
But
This one was one of the better versions of it because at least he turned into a baby first. But whatever.
yeah.
But the thing is, like the aging thing, they can bring that back if ever Chris Evans is like, I'd like to cameo in one of these things, or you know
Oh
what I
man,
mean. If they need to
weird.
bring him back for some reason.
And
Uh,
I like that they went through the effort of doing the Stanley cameo. I'm not sure if it was filmed beforehand.
it looked like Mark Maron.
It did look
I
like
wasn't
Mark
sure
Maron.
if it
I
was
think,
Mark Maron or
but
not.
actually Mark
But
Maron is aging into Stan Lee at that age.
oh
So
yeah, no, it works really well. If I was to, if I what they might have done, and I don't know, I have no idea.
are you
This is
talking about
pure
the
speculation.
Stan Lee?
It's like, yeah, was film Mark Maron and then like
Oh,
CG
okay.
Stanley's face onto him a little.
So, no,
But I
there
do
was
not know.
there's this fan
That
theory
is,
that they should have had old Cap look exactly like Stan Lee, and that's why he's making it like. That's why
no.
I was like, they already explained that with the Watcher scene, like, and having having Cap grow into Stan Lee would have just been so forth. It would have just broken all of the walls. It would have just
Yeah,
really
no, that
annoying.
would have been terrible. That would have been a god awful decision.
Right? That would have just
um,
not worked in any way,
I'm
shape, or form.
not sure how much I like Cap's ending. Now, I get why they did it, and it does work for the restrictions of Chris Evans being like, I'm done. I need to go do other things now.
Yeah.
But, like, narratively, it's like Cap just sat back for 60 years and did nothing,
Well,
which,
it's
like,
not.
doesn't really follow his character.
The only reason I thought about this as well. The only reason I disagree is because he literally knows that everything is already being taken care of.
Hydra infesting everything
He
in
knows, but he already knows the
oh,
final outcome. You're trying to
can you
reconnect.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
You're
as long as you can
because
hear me, I don't care.
yeah. So I did lose you on camera. There we go.
It's fine. As long
Okay.
as I can,
Okay.
you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. So but the thing is, like, knowing that like the end result of everything makes sitting back less, lack of responsibility, less just taking it easy for the sake of taking it easy. It's one of those. This is things that have to happen for the future that I know to happen, and so he literally couldn't get involved. It was the responsible
Well,
thing not to get involved.
but like by their own time travel rules, no matter what, this is a fucking different timeline than the one that they were originally from.
I mean, and timeline
The
movies.
the
I
minute
look at.
that this is by the movie's own logic.
I
This is
know, I
not by
know,
any
I
time
know.
travel other movie. This is just means that now we are in a timeline that is different from the one where Cap
they
uh
they tried to
like
explain it away by if they
future
put it.
past. It just doesn't make sense.
No, they tried to
And
explain
time
away.
travel movies, man.
Yeah, dude, fucking time travel movies. How do they work? No, they tried to explain it away with the once the stones were returned, like the timeline, that dark part would grow up. You know, the basic fucking chalkboard scene. Here's us. Here's the timeline. You know, from Back to the Future, which
Yeah.
they just did with the wise one, which was that was kind of neat to see her again.
Yeah, well, I mean that the stones came back the instant that they were taken or whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. But
I'm gonna
like
go ahead and refresh you here, see if I can get you back.
it means that it just means that
There we go.
you know, it's a yeah,
It's
essentially this timeline has to be different. Like you can't fucking butterfly effect throw Steve Rogers into thing and change Peggy Carter's life entirely
yeah.
without the future being different.
Especially
Like
like
again, they did it because Chris Evans is retiring and they wanted to give Captain America a good send off. Like all the emotional beats like work for me.
I
It's
have
just a
a
dumb like logic thing.
I have
But,
a
you
I have a rule with time travel movies. You
know, fuck
get
it.
no, well, yeah, that's a good one. No, you get two places where you either intentionally or accidentally fucked up. Any
Then
any more than two, then we get into now it's breaking everything for me.
we get into Looper
Yeah,
territory.
then we get into Looper, which is just Looper is like the equivalent. It's just the worst time travel movie in my opinion. And I forgot
didn't
to
even
thank
see
you,
it.
Molly, for your 3 months. You're awesome. She's my first 3 monther for subscribers. So
Nice.
yeah. And then so yeah, I was just thought it was kind of it was earned, but like at the same time it was
Oh yeah.
it
No,
was
it's just
you know.
yeah.
But
It
like
was reality of the world breaking into the world of the fiction.
yeah, well, not only that,
Which
the
you can't. Oh,
shield they shouldn't have destroyed the shield as dramatic as it was, because the shield that he brought back would technically be a duplicate, and then that's like so it would be from an alternate timeline. So that would suggest that he traveled from his future timeline to be there at that point, which fuck it, maybe they could have done because fuck it, I don't know, but like
it just doesn't make sense. It's fine. It doesn't
yeah,
make sense. There's no real justifying it.
I
Like end of the
loved
day,
the
it just
passing of the
doesn't work.
shield. I liked that both,
Yep.
Red Hawk,
Ha-
what's his name? Oh my god,
Falcon?
Falcon. Thank you, Red Falcon. I like that.
Just
Well, I guess they
Falcon.
just call him Falcon now. He used to be Red Falcon back in the day when he was wearing
Yeah.
tights and looked much worse. His costume
I
was
would have.
terrible. I like that
So
Bucky was there for it and kind of was like, yeah, no, I'm a
see,
fucking crazy person.
I wish that there was a scene between Bucky and Cap where like
They got to.
Cap hints at what he's going to do because he knows Bucky's going to pick it up. Because it's already hinted at that. That's like already
Yeah.
my head canon because of the way that Bucky handles the shield passing off scene. And he looked back and he's, Bucky knows what's going on with Cap. I could have used the 30 seconds for those two characters to connect. I don't think they got to say anything to each other between this movie and the last movie, really. And
Mm-mm.
like, I'm a big Cap Bucky fan.
You
I
chip
think
it.
it's like an interesting fucking
It's a joke, yeah.
dynamic for those
Yeah.
characters. And for them to sort of ignore it was a little bit of a bummer.
Mm.
Again, this movie's packed to the brim. Like I understand that we
Yeah.
don't have time for everything, but that makes the scenes where they take really long for certain
Okay.
stuff like more of like, damn,
Yeah.
okay, I guess we'll spend it on this.
The thing that okay,
Like Hawk, like Banner just
Just-
cures his Hulkism.
yep.
He's just
Turns out
cured.
he needed 5 years. That was it. No,
I wanted my angry, screaming Banner Man.
holy crap! Like, okay,
I
when
wanted that so bad.
she punched his soul out of his body, I thought Hulk was gonna stay and just fucking destroy everything. While she's like, "What the fuck?" trying to talk to Banner while fighting off the Hulk because the Hulk was still conscious. But
No time.
I guess
yeah.
Well, no, I think probably no time, and also I felt like maybe that's the biggest signal that he's whole.
Well, and like, does she see the future or not?
Did I?
That's she like sees the
She
future
does.
that Stephen Strange does the future, and then like when it gets to that point, she's
No,
like,
she
I
straight
don't.
up sees the future. She said she was able to observe it up until her death.
She just doesn't believe Banner until he says that Stephen Strange
Because-
did it, and it's like, shouldn't either way she should know?
Well, no, because I think it's because he's traveling back in time. He's fucking with what she's seen in the time stone, because he's not like the time stone. The time can only see what's in that universe, so things outside of the universe might be exempt from that. Is the way I interpreted it.
But it's still gonna happen in their timeline, in their universe.
No, it's not, because they kidnapped
Steven's
Thanos.
still going to give the time stone up.
Thanos is dead in that timeline. He got snapped away. They saved 2 universes. So Thanos got snapped away, so he'll never have to give it away. That's why she wouldn't have known
God.
that he gave it away.
They're already getting into comic book continuity, breaking up universes and shit.
Oh man, I'm so worried about it. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, and one of my favorite things is the universe hopping Team the Exiles, which they have the rights to now. But no, but which, I mean, they could be setting up for that. They're never setting up for that. Who am I kidding?
Okay, all right. I'm gonna talk about my one legitimate gripe with this movie. My one
legitimate gripe?
actual legitimate gripe with this movie.
Okay.
This movie hates Star-Lord, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that is kind of
Every other fucking character gets a big moment or something cool that they get to do, and Star-Lord literally gets kicked in the nuts in the one scene, in the big battle scene twice. And then, like, back on the ship is Thor is gonna join the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I fucking hate, because we already turned Thor into the Guardians of the Galaxy in his last fucking movie.
Yeah.
Because
well,
Chris Hemsworth refuses to do anything other than comedy anymore, which is fine. But like, I want my big fucking dumb fucking fantasy space thing instead of just Guardians, but more Guardians. Like,
oh man,
there are enough Guardians, and like honestly, Peter Quill over the course of the last 2 movies has earned his place of leadership. And for Infinity War and now Endgame to just undermine and chip away at that for like no visible reason, like the whole fucking point of the first 2 movies is like, we're a family, we respect each other, and yeah, Quill, you can lead us because like we respect you because we've learned to know you over time, even though you come off awkward or terrible at the first. We know who you are, and these last 2 movies have really just shit on that whole dynamic and make me really worried for the next Guardians movie.
Well,
does it affect it? Does it affect Endgame? No. But legitimate gripe, I feel.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some of the best moments, the shit that I enjoyed the most.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna open up with if not the best, one of the most memorable. Fucking Cap gets the hammer.
Oh, dude. The highlight of the movie for me.
So fucking good. And then he just fights like a boss with it. Shield, bang, bang, bounces it off the shield, bounces shield back to like, come on. Like, him fighting.
It brought up a legitimate question of, like, how strong is Thanos without any of the Infinity Stones?
And that's the thing.
Like why can't Thor, Cap, and Iron Man take him? But it doesn't matter. That moment was so great.
Oh my god!
Moment where he's just fucking kicking the shit out of everyone,
and he fucking pulls down the thunder, and like this, then paying off that one worried moment in fucking Age of Ultron. You know, the only scene anybody actually remembers from that movie.
My favorite Avengers scene.
Yeah,
that whole movie is like, I really don't like the Age of Ultron. Like, I really don't like that movie. But that scene where they're all just chilling in the after party. It's what Brian Michael Bendis called the kitchen scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because during his run on the Avengers, there would be a bunch of scenes where, like once every few issues, it would just be them sitting around the table talking about whatever. Somebody be eating cereal, you know, whatever.
And that was
there was these human moments, and I didn't really get any of those. And we haven't gotten any of those in Avengers in a long time, which is a bummer.
You know what's really interesting?
They're so essential.
I was thinking about it. Dark Avengers, like, is probably like they have a lot of setup for that ever to happen, and it makes me sad because the only person I can see instead of I was really hoping after Homecoming to see I know this is gonna sound weird, but to see the Vulture take that spot of Green Goblin and do the Dark Avengers, but doing the Thunderbolts first, where the Thunderbolts of the recovering from being an evil shithead and actually becoming a superhero under a different, face and everything like that. I think that would be some really cool thing that they might be setting up, and like the fact that they didn't kill Vulture at the end of the movie, which they've killed Spider-Man has this bad habit of killing his people off. Like,
Spider-Man movies,
I should say, like he's literally killed almost all of them except for him. So. Like, and that's maybe a Sony thing.
I mean, I was gonna say this is like the new, the Marvel age of Spider-Man.
And I was trying to think of
franchising.
And I was trying to think of bad guys we have left. We have Baron Zemo technically did he get killed? I can't remember.
What?
I think he got killed off screen. Oh, Molly's.
Oh, movies is spelled wrong on your screen.
Movies. I was spelling it how you spelled it when you were. No, it's a fucking fuck up. I'm sorry.
Don't blame that on me. That's not me.
I just said that's a fuck up. I'm sorry.
Uh, um,
I was doing it like a 30 seconds
That's
before
fine.
it started.
Before we get too into the weeds, I want to talk about more
Yeah,
of the
that's fair.
scenes that I really liked in the movie.
Okay, so after
like Dark Avengers, they don't have enough bad guys for it yet.
Yeah.
Let's just end it there.
Alright.
They've killed too many of them, or they're not interesting enough to come back.
that is fair. And so after Cap grabbing the hammer, what's another one that you were just like?
Cap grabbing the hammer was great.
See, this is
I
why-
really like most of my favorite moments are Cap moments. I'm a big Cap fan, so maybe that's why. But That's America's Ass is like fucking hilarious. Everything that joke worked in a way that shouldn't. Actually, yeah, another thing that I point to just sort of how I feel a lot about this movie is the scene where he fights himself. It's the shit knocked out. The both of them fall over, and past him goes, "I could do this all day," and he goes, oh, no, like the way that like that line shouldn't work,
No,
right? That line
but
has been beat to death already. Like we really hammered it in Civil War. It shouldn't work, but the way that Evans delivers it is perfect. Like it's really funny and it's really well done, well executed on that. And that's sort of the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
The whole movie is a bunch of expected like things. It's a bunch of references to stuff we already know, but the execution is generally elevated enough that if it's satisfying and like to watch. I'm bummed about a lot of stuff. Like I'm bummed that we'll never really get a good Bucky Cap movie like ever.
Bummed we'll never get
that we'll
scientists. The scientist road trip with Banner and Iron Man. We're never gonna get that movie.
Yeah, we'll never get that movie. I'm really bummed that we'll never get Cap and Iron Man being nice to each other for.
I mean, they were, but yeah, not nearly long
They were
enough.
in this movie
Oh,
for
that's why
minutes.
that's why I said, but
But,
not nearly
like,
long enough. Yeah.
Before this movie, it's just them bickering the whole fucking time, and I just want them to have fun together.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm like advocating for the tape.
Oh, sorry.
Or of just
we lost audio there. You're advocating for what?
for more of the table scenes, more
Mhm.
scenes of these characters just together, just like hanging out. I'm a big fan of teams, so there's that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are some other great moments?
Oh man, just like so like I'm just like replaying the movie. I'm like, I love that one, love that one, love that one. But that's
Yeah.
not like it's like I loved all these
Tony's-
moments, but putting them in the top. What's the top? You know?
Tony Stark talking to his dad was really nice.
Yeah, that was really awesome. Oh man, I felt like his family scenes actually sold me on him sitting down and doing the whole family thing, like when he's interacting with his daughter and everything like
Oh
that.
yeah, his daughter was great. Rhodey at the end, I knew again it was a shot that
Oh,
went on way too
God.
long, but Rhodey talking to the girl about the
Get you all the
cheeseburgers
hamburgers.
or whatever.
God
Yeah,
damn it.
that was
So good.
nice.
So
And
good.
like you got to give that guy credit. Like he deserves a loving shot of him because dude, he started this whole fucking
Yeah.
thing.
And I love
And
that
he's the one
still
who
there.
made Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
He is. Actually, apparently, it was like he was like the main driving force to make sure that happened.
He had to fight for it. Like they weren't just gonna go along with it. They wanted like Tom Cruise or Leonardo DiCaprio. I think.
See,
which-
we almost went the way of the Mummy reboot for the Dark Universe.
I think it could have worked, but it would be honestly it would change the face of pop culture as we see it right now.
Oh yeah.
Because Robert Downey Jr., while he's absolutely like a movie star, like him not being like Tom Cruise levels of being like, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he's like you can still
like-
you could still do movies where you're not like that's Robert Downey Jr. doing Robert Downey Jr. And he can like actually do different things, even if his English accent in Sherlock Holmes is the closest. I'm just gonna throw this out there. His Sherlock Holmes is basically Johnny Depp's Captain Jack Sparrow, but in a different timeline and not on a ship.
That's very close. But
But I feel
but like I really I feel like the face of pop culture. Like I'd say it's safe to call Robert Downey Jr. the face of the nerd wave pop culture.
I could see
And
that.
I feel like that wave having the Robert Downey Jr. energy versus say like the Tom Cruise energy is very important. that
Yeah.
underdog feel, that like having been out of the game for a while, that like
Well, even more.
redemption arc even for like his career and for Iron Man playing in tandem together.
Well,
Um,
even beyond
without
that,
that, so much of this is different.
and even beyond that, having something that the fans of this particular one thing, you know, that made it more unique. You know, it wasn't just another Tom Cruise movie. Like I remember Iron Man 1 came out on my fucking birthday, and I was like,
That was the
only
first movie
person.
that I ever took the parents to and paid for everything because I had recently gotten my first job at the movie theater.
I was so happy, but I was the only fucking Iron Man fan in the entire fucking state of Nevada. It felt like I'd never come across another Iron Man fan ever. And so, like, even like DJ could attest to this. Like, I was like Iron Man. He's like Iron Man. Like,
Iron Man's fine. Like, let's face it. Before the movies, Iron Man is like a D-list Avenger, not even like a C-list Avenger. He
he's
like
yeah.
started with the Avengers and everything, but Iron Man wasn't anybody's favorite. You
No,
know,
no.
like
Let's
he was.
face
He
it.
was.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
let's face it. Most of the original Avengers are no longer A-list Avengers. Like Cap. That's it.
They weren't especially when this series started.
Oh man, when the series started,
That was the big thing. And
hell,
one
Cap
thing
had
I
just
do
got
love about
killed.
this movie. One thing I do love about this movie is that I no longer have to explain why Ant-Man's my favorite Avenger. Um,
And they picked the right Ant Man. Like I was a little
eh,
wary of. I wish we gotten a Hank Pym Ant Man movie with him younger. Which I mean, with all of the de aging and aging shit that Marvel is becoming experts on, like the industry leader on, compared to
it's
everybody
because they
else.
have to,
They
right?
have to.
It's
Yeah, they literally have to.
because
Like,
they're like, we want to keep our comic book characters the same age. What can we
mhm.
do?
But hey, I would have loved to see Hank Pym and OG Wasp movie.
No, Wasp is my only real complaint about that. And it was so
Michelle
funny. All right,
Pfeiffer.
so no. The Evangeline Lilly. Um,
Oh,
so
new Wasp.
the theater I was in, we went and saw it at the Baghdad Theater in Portland.
Nice.
Which is like a big old school Hollywood theater. They have one big screen,
Did you
and
see
like
regular or
everybody was
3D?
there, regular.
Okay.
But like the audience was into this movie. They clapped when characters were introduced during the big battle. Every time a new character showed up, they'd be like, "Yeah!" And like when Evangeline Willie's Wasp showed up, they were like, "Oh," because she's so just not well developed or interesting in her movies. And Ant-Man the
Well,
Wasp did a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong.
oh
I think
no,
that's the worst Marvel movie.
but no,
Uh,
the original her and original Ant Man, she was even worse though, as far as just a
yeah,
straight cold stone bitch for no reason. Like, I feel
she's
like,
punching him in the face and shit.
and then they tried to do like this 180 off screen between the movies, and then all of a sudden oh man, so there's a
But in
lot
the
of
second movie,
problems.
she's like, "I don't care if you never see your daughter again. You do what I say," and it's like really off-putting.
And I
And
think they
it's for
should have
me
left that
the
just to Michael Douglas. Like,
well, for me the big thing, the big disappointment for me is that this version of the Wasp is another government agent with military training, which we have Captain Marvel, we have Black Widow. They both have military training, and like she feels like a same character in the same mold, less well acted, so like much less interesting. Which is like a shame that we don't really have a female superhero in the Marvel universe who's allowed to
just
be
a
feminine
regular
at all.
person. Like,
She's just not like straight up not allowed to be feminine. In the
yeah.
comics, the Wasp is like a fashion designer and she does like girly things, and then she also puts on the fucking suit and kicks ass, and it's great because she's just a person, just like a bunch of these
Well,
people.
she's a
Like,
fucking scientist, you know? Like, she's not
no,
a.
she's not.
Well, no, she
She's not a
was.
scientist.
I thought
No,
she was. She worked
no.
with Pym in the lab.
She was like she would help him out every once in a while, but she wasn't a scientist. Her main thing wasn't being a scientist.
Well, yeah, it
She
wasn't her
was
main
like
thing, but like, sorry.
no,
Like,
she was just a person.
I'm
And
talking
like
about
you really could have played
rebooted.
into that with doing this reboot. You
So,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
we're talking
why
about
is
different
she
versions of the
military
Wasp. Yeah,
trained?
that
Why is
I
she
cannot figure out.
why does she know how to punch things? Like it's because her dad was an ex-CIA agent or whatever and taught her? But like why not play more off of the idea that she's the second generation?
Right?
Maybe
Um,
there's like there's just 1,000 more interesting things to do than do the Black Widow again.
yeah.
Um,
All right. So,
but
let's see. I felt like in this movie there's so many good movement moments that I can't even nail it down. But
Well,
we are.
this is the thing, right? The pacing is kind of awkward. It makes it kind of hard to remember a lot of it.
Oh, really? I have no
Like in
problem.
a lot of like like I don't know how to put it exactly. It feels very scattered when I think back on it.
Really?
Is what is what I mean to say. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
like the individual moments feel very scattered.
I don't. I feel like there were so many moments, like so many that like my brain just starts. I just like I started at the beginning like that, and then like they chronologically just fall together for me, um, which is weird, I guess. Um, I don't know. I loved that Hulk taking the stairs was what fucked up the original grab of the Cosmic Cube. I thought that was a good one. I thought nearly killing Tony in the past was a big gamble that maybe they could have done a little more less with.
I was really like, why didn't they send Ant Man in before the suitcase was closed
I thought
or
they did, and like
something?
originally when it the because it was the way it was
Yeah.
cut, I thought he landed in the case, but then I was like, how's he gonna get out of the case? Because he
Well,
wouldn't be able
just
to.
shrink the cube down with you.
Yeah, but then like
If you're small enough to fit into Tony's replicator heart thing and bust one fuse loose, you're definitely small enough to get out of that lock or whatever, you know?
yeah.
It
Well,
doesn't matter.
the pin
It was all to
particles
get
are.
them into the past. Oh, that was one thing that actually I was upset by. The Pym particle thing never comes into play in a way that's actually matters. It's like
Oh
a
yeah.
fake it's fake stakes.
Oh well, it was
It's
something for Tony to do so that way he would see
his
Gardner.
dad. Yeah, but
No, oh, not
like
Tony. Sorry, Cap. To give Cap something to
yeah,
do while Tony
it
did
was to
that.
get them back in the back pass, but like there was no reason that they needed to be like everyone only gets one. You get one trip. You get one trip because it was just so that they didn't have to.
No, it was
It
so
was
that.
so if they fucked up, they wouldn't have to go back and do it again. Even though when they fucked up, they just went back and did
No,
it again anyway.
I think it was smart
So it's
because
like
it does create a realistic scarcity for future doing this sort of shit.
future doing this shit, they have Pym. They can do
No,
it whenever they
no,
want.
but Pym is wanted by the government and super secretive and a grumpy
It
old
doesn't matter.
bitch who can.
Pym particles seem to be very easy to make, and he keeps a bunch of them on hand at any given moment. They can
In
absolutely do
his
this
lab,
again.
yeah.
They can time travel anytime they want now, or go to a different timeline or whatever. They can do this again. They can do this at any time. They have in no way closed that door.
Well, I think it might
Just
be
want to make
interesting
that clear.
to like have Pym like now want like trying to go back and get back the years that he lost or something like that. Like Pym doing the the crazy selfish Pym thing where he like occasionally will have this one idea and just do like
He's
in the comics like what he would occasionally do.
See, that's the weird thing about them being movies versus comics. Like the movies actually they don't have a lot of time to develop the characters as much as they are developed in the comics,
That's true.
especially side characters. And I just don't think that Pym is enough of a character to carry a plot like that.
Okay.
It would have to be Scott,
Yeah.
which could still happen.
Oh, what if Scott
Um,
gets caught?
it doesn't. I mean,
I don't know. Like, I feel like
it doesn't matter.
I feel like I really hope that we're done with the house arrest story. Like we are. I guess they did wrap that up in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I just was.
yeah.
I really want Scott to be able to move on with his life past the like. I get the convict thing was like a big part of his
Well,
personality.
he already missed his daughter's life.
Yeah.
Which,
Oh
or
god,
5
that was
years
like
of it, which
the
sucked.
saddest fucking scene when he's like when she comes to the door. Oh man, and we lost that great little girl actor, which kind of sucks too, because she was great. I mean, granted, she couldn't. We've done many more movies anyway, but it was just one of those like, holy fuck, that is like the saddest shit. Like, it's
I wonder
so
if
fucking
everyone
sad.
in Peter Parker's class got snapped or not.
That's the thing. I was thinking about it. I was like, is he going and visiting him at college? Is he going back to high school? Like, I was trying to see like.
He's going back to high school. He was snapped. He didn't go
Well, no,
anywhere. He didn't
no,
graduate.
no, not that he's going back. Like in that scene, was he visiting them or was he going back to his old school? Like, because was he visiting his friend?
Why wouldn't he be going to school?
Well, no, if it's his school or not. Like,
Yeah. Like, why would he go anywhere else?
well, no, because to visit his friends that are now 5 years older than him, if they didn't get snapped.
Yeah, I mean,
Part of me was like, is that
there's
why
no way
all
they
of
did
his
that.
friends are so different from the comic because they were planning on just aging them out? That's so weird. Yeah, well, I will
Just
say
because they took the best parts
according
of Miles Morales and slapped it over Peter Parker.
according to the new trailer, pretty much all of them got snapped. Like
Oh yeah,
if I
they'd
had
have
to
to.
guess, unless I guess Ned might not have. It's hard to
Nope,
tell that
they
guy's
showed
age.
Ned at the end of. They showed Ned at the end of Endgame.
No,
He's
I
the
know, but
same
like
age.
I couldn't tell if he was the same
He's
age or
at the
not. Yeah,
school.
so yeah,
He's the same age.
that's why I wasn't sure where he was at exactly. Like,
You're thinking about it too hard. He
I know
definitely is the same age. But like, no,
it's my
I
signature
don't know.
move.
See, overall, I feel like the movie's a little bit like this discussion of the movie. It's like just kind of all over the place. You know, it's fun overall. I like the movie. I would have appreciated a tighter, more like story focused movie rather than like the fan service like big celebration idea. Like I do like those things separate or on their own. um
I feel
I
like
get why they did it. I get why they did it, but
this is gonna be
again,
literally
again,
the
I like it. It's a good movie, but I
yeah.
think it could have been a great movie if it was actually story driven instead of meta story driven.
But I feel like it's the ending of a meta narrative though, and so
It,
what
it
you.
is, but I still don't think that you make the strongest movie acknowledging that.
But I
That's where
think
I'm at.
yeah, okay. I'll disagree just because I feel like this is the only opportunity to do a movie like this. This is the only movie really of its kind that's ever been done. Like, and for it to you all right over there?
Yeah, sorry.
For him to pull it off with just and still making a good movie and you know that pulled out like that nailed all of the emotional scenes and got all of the moments that you know I wanted and that without like going to. I mean, it was just I felt like it was done so damn well that and for it to be this unique type of movie and this unique type of thing that hadn't really been done before, I feel like there wasn't really any way for it to have gotten much better.
You don't lose any of that by not having the amount of meta narrative that they had in there. That's all I'm gonna say. Like you don't have to sacrifice any of that to have it more narrative focused than meta narrative focused.
Yeah, this definitely was
They,
Iron Man's
they've
movie.
always they've always done meta narrative stuff. Kind of like there was a lot of like fan input on this. Um, this was Iron Man's movie. Yeah, definitely Iron Man's movie.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I also think it was Cap's movie too. I think
Yeah.
they gave Cap a lot of screen time, which obviously it's obvious why.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. That derailed me. Hello, person.
Hello,
um,
Scribbles.
Scribbles. But yeah, I just an overall less of a focus on fan reactions and stuff because I think that's why we got like again my only real legitimate gripe is how they treated Star Lord in the movie, and I think that was also based off of the meta narrative and these dumb fan comments like, "Oh, he ruined everything in the last movie," which like. Generally speaking, anytime somebody fucks up that badly in these movies, they get a redemption moment,
Yeah.
and they just did. Anything. Like, yeah, he punched Thanos out of his hypnosis when he found out that like the love of his life was killed by this guy. Like he snapped at an emotional moment that caused but which was the only reason you get this movie, by the way.
Yeah.
So like you can complain all you want, but you don't get Endgame without Star Lord. So, oh shit, did we lose
No,
connection?
yeah, we did. I think there's something strange with my new setup. I did switch up my setup a little bit, and so um, it just has to be. I'm gonna be changing it again soon here, so. I didn't mind the fan. See, and
Are we back?
I'm with Scribbles on this one. Like the fan service and everything. I mean, it's one of those things they kind of now.
Oh,
I disagree. I agree
I
with you
don't
on
mind
the
it.
media.
I don't mind it. I just was arguing that you have a stronger movie with less of it. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm not saying it was bad. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay, sorry. It seemed like you were arguing that it was overdone or it was bad or they go. But I thought you know if you're gonna include it, they included it at the right amounts and everything like that. I just really enjoyed it, and I think it's 8:15, so we're probably gonna go ahead and wrap up there.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
wanna
yeah, that's my final thoughts. Good movie. Could have been a great movie if it was tighter and more story focused than like celebration focused. That being said, like you can't take anything away from this movie. This movie is the biggest fucking movie in the world. I feel like it's definitely punching up to
I
say anything
feel
you want about this movie. I did enjoy it. I have some little things, but there are always little things. A+.
See me. I got. I say that this is probably it being the unique experience. They nailed it being a unique experience that was felt like a good culmination, and it felt like it nailed everything that it needed to nail. I felt like the task of paying off this amount of movies was Herculean, and they fucking picked that shit up and tossed it in space and did an amazing job. I will say the oh man, just everything was done. I felt really really damn well. The emotional scenes like actually played to the emotion, and like they gave everything the weight, though everything felt like it had the right amount of weight to it. And so I really enjoyed this movie beyond, you know, and for it to even get close to any expectations of like ending a what is it, 20, 15, 20 movie streak, like
I don't know,
yeah,
15 at best, I think.
the longest fucking running actual series other than James Bond, I think, at this point, as far as movies
Think
go.
so.
And James Bond has been rebooted more times than the Marvel Universe, so
Not technically.
I guess not technically, but it feels like it's been rebooted a bunch. I guess Casino Royale was the only first. No, no, there's been three.
They do this the soft reboot, the
Yeah,
rolling timeline sort of
that's
thing.
fair. All right.
But
Anyway,
yeah. Just if you're new to the stream, Tida streams. What? Tell them the schedule. You gotta
it's down there.
flip
You
your
can
stuff.
scroll down.
No, no, you say
Okay.
the things, man.
Jesus. Okay. So we stream every day. Tuesdays we do D&D. We start at 6:30. That usually goes till about 9:30. On Wednesdays 4:30 till about 6:30 we do video games, playing a lot of Overwatch, a lot of Apex Legends. I've been diving into Mortal Kombat and stuff lately. I'm gonna probably do more fighting games because they're just super fun. Um,
Oh, and Scribbles. I hope to God they didn't keep Tony on AI anything. That would be so
oh
anticlimactic
God.
if he ever came back. I think they have to let this one go. They have to let somebody finally die and not bring them back in any real.
I will say,
Um,
I will miss Jarvis.
I would hope they don't do that. It'd be interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, I always loved Robert Downey Jr., but I hope that they exercise the control to let this have the weight that it should.
And that's the thing with comic books and comic book movies. It's only a matter of time before somebody doesn't have the control, so they gotta keep the same person at the wheel as long as they can.
No
But anyway,
one's ever gone.
and then
But anyway,
on Friday, Thursdays, we do 40K Thursday. Most Thursdays, we didn't do it last Thursday because I wasn't feeling it. But we talk Warhammer 40K, the tabletop game, and then Fridays we do pretty much whatever.
like free play.
Free play.
Usually it's Overwatch.
Yeah, it's
We play some Overwatch.
and then that'll go for until question marks until we get tired, and or I occasionally will do a talk show thing where I just sit behind a fake desk and click on links people send and comment on them on how I feel they're ridiculous or not ridiculous, and then I usually will invite somebody as a guest into chat and I do a stupid little interview.
Oh, I know. If you enjoyed this, we might do this again too. Ty's catching up on Game of Thrones right now, so we can talk about that at some point.
My God, people were amazing with Endgame spoilers. Game of Thrones spoilers spoiled the night of.
Everywhere.
I was so pissed off.
Everywhere.
So pissed
Oh
off.
yeah. Oh yeah. My Twitter feed was just full of hot takes.
Not okay, people. All right. Well, thanks you guys for watching. Like I said, we're gonna
Thank
do a
you.
lot more of this. Hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget the bell. No, wait, that's gonna be if that's just hit the like. We just that way you know when we're doing all of the things. Because following
Yeah,
ain't
just-
costing nothing. No. All right. All right. So anyway, we're off. Have a wonderful day. Last thought. TJ?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss him. That
I'm gonna
little
miss him so
part
much.
of my brain that reserved for like possible like things to see Cap and Tony do and Black Widow. Um, Black Widow movie is gonna be interesting. And obviously, that's a prequel now.
Don't forget, Vision's
Um,
gone.
Vision's gone, but Vision definitely that's where the AI thing should come in.
Yeah.
I want to see Vision come back in some way.
Well,
That's a classic storyline too. They've
Yeah.
done the whole Vision splitting off from the Infinity Stone thing, so I wouldn't write it off. The only thing that has me worried about Vision is the fact that in the past Paul Bettany did not play Jarvis, and Paul Bettany is notoriously difficult.
He was not supposed to. That was
work
Jarvis.
with.
That was Jarvis from the Carter television show. That's why he wasn't.
Oh, okay, all right,
was-
that makes sense.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with Bettany.
Basically, then again, then I guess my only real worry is that Paul Bettany has a reputation for being to get contracts signed with, and that would be
so
the
did-
only thing that I think that would threaten Vision.
So did
um,
Downey, though.
No, I know, and it's just trust me, it's like
Okay,
a
I
thing,
will-
and
I'll-
I hope
I
it's
will.
not a thing, and it's just a cliff notes.
Okay.
Yeah. So last notes, I'm sad we're not going to get any more Captain America movies. I feel like those have been the strongest in the franchises, and I am excited to see somebody other than the Russo brothers take the reins. directing some of the Avengers, and I don't mind those guys, but I think I am full up on
I
their
think
style for the
you're seeing
moment.
the cracks in their style are starting to appear. I can agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm ready for something fresh. So hopefully this is a new beginning.
Hey,
That's my final thought.
James Gunn is back. All right.
Uh, t-
No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Sorry. All right. Anyway, thanks, guys, for watching. Have a wonderful day. We'll be back with more movies probably when the next big movie comes out. We're going to try to do this for all of them. And some Game of Thrones stuff, which is so heavy. All right.
yeah, now
Take it
you know
easy.
you got to catch up. All right.